This item came before you at your meeting of May the 15th. The proposed ordinance would have required the mandatory spaying or neutering of pit bull dogs. It is the ordinance that the County of Riverside adopted in November of 2013. At that meeting, there were many members of the public who suggested that the council look at some of the actions taken by the City of Lake Elsinore just a short time before your May 15th meeting. I have obtained copies of their staff reports and put them into your staff report for this item. Basically, Lake Elsinore had before them the same ordinance, the one that was adopted by the county. There were some comments about that the ordinance sort of unfairly excluded people who breed pit bull dogs, and so one of the proposals before them was to add an exception from the mandatory spaying and neutering for pit bull dogs registered with the American Kennel Club, United Kennel Club, or other appropriate registry, or if the owner or custodian possessed a current dealer's license from the U.S. Department of Agriculture's Animal and Plant Health Inspection Service. So that was one proposal that was before the City of Lake Elsinore. The other proposal that was before them was for a marketing program. And the marketing program was for approximately $50,000, and that cost would be shared by the City of Lake Elsinore and 4 other public entities that are part of a joint powers authority for the animal shelter in that community. And basically that marketing program would have undertaken a number of efforts to encourage pet owners to be responsible, to have their animals spayed and neutered, to have microchips put in them, to be licensed, and to make sure that people understood the benefits of that to the animals and to the community. The City of Lake Elsinore decided to adopt that marketing program in conjunction with the other cities, and because of that, they deferred the consideration of the mandatory spaying and neutering ordinance until that ordinance was given time to, until that marketing program had some time to go into effect, and they could see if there were any impacts on the animals in the shelter from it. I sent a copy of our staff report with this information to Dr. Drusis, the chief veterinarian of the county's animal control. He was unable to be here tonight. He said he would send somebody to attend in his place. One of the comments that he made to me in discussing this was that the city of Jurupa Valley has a very active outreach program where the animal control officers go door to door and seek out animals and explain that they need to be licensed. And part of that licensing program is the microchipping that the animals would go through.
Basically, their marketing program.
Yes, yeah. The marketing program for Lake Elsinore had a lot of types of messages, of advertisements, working with other community groups to get the word out. Your licensing program, the animal control people just go door to door and talk about licensing and the microchip. And so at this point in time, that's a lot of the information that the council requested. You have before you the ordinance as adopted by the county that you could adopt as is. Your other option is to add the additional exemption that was discussed by some of the people at Lake Elsinore, or to consider some type of marketing program. I think that covers all that. Oh, there was also, just for your information, Lake Elsinore changed a lot of their dog licensing fees as part of that action. I think that's really related to their specific fees and how they related to the other cities in that area. It was really just because they thought theirs were too high for the communities. So with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions, and I don't, if there's somebody from Animal Services that might want to speak as well.
Mr. Mayor, I also got some of the statistics that Dr. Drusis has, unless you plan on talking stats.
Dr. Drusis is not available today. There was a document that I was supposed to grab as I came here tonight, but I wasn't able to get that.
Oh, maybe I've got it.
Basically, it was a document entitled Jurupa Valley by the numbers. yours?
Yeah, I've got it.
Oh, you do have
I
it?
do.
Okay, good.
Speaking on behalf of Dr. Drusus.
Yeah, he's not here, and he has two people speaking.
That's right.
Where do you
This is a tag team. Live animal intakes for 2013 totaled 3,576 dogs. A little less than 3,600. 56% of the stray and large impounds were intact. 500, and I'm sure you can explain what intact means. 546 were stray pit bull type dogs, which represents about 17%. 73% of the stray pit bull dogs were sexually intact. Chihuahuas accounted for 23% of live impounds, with 62% of the stray Chihuahuas sexually intact. All other breeds of dogs accounted for approximately 2,000 impounds, which were almost equally divided into altered versus unaltered. Euthanasia, 1,594 dogs from Jurupa Valley were put to sleep in 2013. 523 or 33% were pit bull types, 23% were Chihuahuas, while other breeds combined accounted for 44% of the dogs euthanized. Live outcomes, 507 adoptions, 59 or 12% were pits, 347 returned to owner, 78 or 22% were pits, 969 transferred to rescue groups, 15 or 1.5% were pits. Dog bite injuries, a total of 137 dog bites were reported in 2013. 24% involved pit bull dogs, 24% of the dog bites. 18% were attributed to Chihuahuas. Some suckers. I've got one I rescued in our parking lot, is half Chihuahua, I can account for that number. All other breeds combined for the remaining 58%. All 38 of these biting dogs were licensed. 1.4 dog bites per 1,000 residents, 0.3 pit bull bites per 1,000 residents. Second highest in our service area, 0.25 Chihuahua bites per 1,000, highest in our service area. Sounds like you got a Chihuahua problem. That's as rated as is in front of me. Licensing, I'm going to charge a whole lot for doing this for you. Licensing as of January 1st, 2014, of the 11,939 dogs licensed in effect on January 1st, 2014, 868 were pit bull types, equaling 7%, 109 of which were intact, 13%, 2,796 were Chihuahuas, 23%, and 95% were spayed or neutered. Equals 23%, but 95% were spayed or neutered. All other breeds account for 69% of the licensing dogs, with 94% of them being spayed or neutered. This is one active animal activity area, which I'm sure you can elaborate on at length.
My name is John Ely. I'm the lead licensing officer in the county of Riverside. I generally don't speak for a public group like this, but I'm in charge of training, oversee the licensing office throughout the county. I worked East Vale to a community called North Shore on Salt and Sea. I walked most of those communities in the last 12 years during this process. And pit bulls are an overrepresented breed in the county of Riverside. And so it's Chihuahuas. We're loaded with these two breeds, or mixed breeds of the county shelter. And that's why the mandatory pit bull is enforced. Now, right at the moment, it's not enforced in Jurupa Valley, but we do enforce that in the county and incorporated areas as we come through the neighborhoods door to door during the process of checking for licensing.
So, by what you just said, if it's not enforced in Jurupa Valley, what do we need to do, according to your statement, for you to enforce them?
Okay. When you signed on for your contract, it was prior to this pit bull spay neuter enforcement. So, at this point, we do need your authorization to start enforcing that within Jurupa Valley.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
If I could, when the city incorporated, the city adopted by reference all of the county ordinances, but only as of the date of incorporation. So the pit bull ordinance was just last year, so that's why it's not being enforced, because in order to, it's not being applied here.
But didn't we adopt an ordinance that says nothing breed specific, but it says that mandatory spay and neuter.
That's correct, yes.
So pit bulls would fall under that. And
Yes.
as you canvass and find that they're not licensed, you can,
We do sign under that.
they have to get them spayed or neutered before they get licensed.
Okay, but once the animal,
We don't have a mandatory spay and neuter ordinance in our city. We do not have it. If there's a violation, then it becomes mandatory. What we have is a mandatory chipping. We don't have a mandatory spay and neuter ordinance in our city unless there's a violation with a dog. Then
right,
it becomes
they have,
mandatory.
if we find the animal without license, microchipping and vaccination, we can mandate spay.
That's a violation, so then it would be mandatory.
But if you show up at his door and his dog is licensed, there's no violation. You can't make him go get the dog neutered.
Correct.
That's correct.
Okay. Just want to clarify everything so everybody understands. Any other comments? Yes, well, Mr. Goodland, you brought this forward.
I did.
Mr. Lawrence.
I guess just a comment really quickly. If I have a choice of being bit by a chihuahua or a pit bull, I'd take a chihuahua.
I have been with my chihuahua over the years, a couple of times.
I may have another comment, but I'll reserve it.
Ms. Rhodes?
I have a question. If memory serves me, which it doesn't always, I think last year you received some sort of a 2-year grant that was going to be helping with encouraging spay and neutering.
Yes, we have had 2 grants applied to the Jurupa Valley. We are in the process now of the second grant, which was $100,000, which was applied to an area north of Mission from Crestmore all the way out to the Valley Way and up to the San Bernardino County border there. At this point in time, we have thoroughly canvassed that area. And I'm not sure exactly what dollar figure we are at this point. We are now revisiting the first canvassing area, which was south of Mission from Crestmore all the way out to the Jurupa Road. At this point in time, we've been in there for about 3 or 4 weeks, and we are finding at least 70% again citation in the same neighborhoods. People who only bought 1-year licensing failed to redo the licensing, and we also find new dogs as we're going through that neighborhood.
Do you anticipate at this time, or do you know if there's anything coming down the pipe for continuing grant funding for that?
You would have to talk to Dr. Drusi about the qualifications for that grant, as far as it has to do with how quickly we use it up.
And then one other question, when you go door to door and you do arrive at a home that has unlicensed dogs, then is a citation issued where they're required to show and either prove that the dog is spay or neutered or bring the dog in to have that done? Is that being enforced?
Yes, basically, when we canvass, we have an application on our phone. It tells us who has current licensing at that property. At that time, if we don't know who's there, it goes against the property owner, but we will cite for vaccination, licensing, microchipping, and spay neuter on every animal as we process that. And we'll gladly reverse out anything that we find in the system when we come back to input those sites. We'll gladly work with these people. I've sat on tickets for 8 months for somebody to get good dogs through our system.
But if you show up at somebody's door and no one is home, but you hear dogs barking and you have nothing on your phone that shows that there's a dog at that address, you leave a notice on the door saying, contact you to
We leave a citation,
leave a citation.
which will be made out.
They have to prove that.
They have to prove to us. Yeah, there's times when the dog, it's just visiting. We listen to that.
Yeah. Okay.
Mr. Mayor?
Mr.
There's
Wilson.
one thing I forgot to mention, that was that late this afternoon, the mayor received a letter from the American Kennel Club. And the substance of the letter was that it says, the American Kennel Club, we do encourage the city to move forward with the proposal to educate the public about responsible pet ownership. And their position was that breed-specific mandatory spay and neutering was not an effective solution, and that education was a more effective solution. So wanted to make sure that that was entered into the record.
Thank you. Yes, indeed, I think we all got that letter. I did send it over to Peter to look at. Basically what the AKC was saying, instead of having a breed-specific ordinance, that we should have a deed-specific ordinance. In other words, go after the dogs that are known to be vicious and so forth. And we currently have an ordinance that addresses that. So I just wanted to let everybody know that's something that we received from the AKC. They did say also in their letter that they appreciated that we had an exemption for dogs that were registered with the AKC or the United Kennel Club or other registries showing that they are a dealer or a breeder or whatever. So we were in receipt of that today. Mr. Goodland, you brought this forward. You have some comments?
Yes, sir. Question I have on the first page of the staff report on number 2, consider a marketing program. Well, I think it's already been answered because you folks already have a marketing program per se.
Well, that was the grant that we qualified.
Once that grant funding is gone, is the marketing program gone? As far as you folks are concerned.
As far as we're concerned, we have our shelter, which offers low-cost spay neuter and microchipping, vaccination for these animals.
Right, but right now you're going door to door under that grant, is that correct?
We are under contract with Jurupa Valley for 1.5 officers for canvassing. Okay, and we will use that grant to lower the cost of your citizens here in the city of Jurupa.
Excuse me. Okay, very good. Yeah, my question was who's going to pay for this marketing program? Because I read through the Elsinore document that we got, and I wasn't sure who was going to pay for this marketing program for my colleagues here. That was my question.
I think if you remember back when we were negotiating our contract with Animal Services, wasn't it the Robert Miller and Dr. Drucy? The fact that the last one, when we renewed the contract, the results of your canvassing efforts basically paid for the canvassing.
Well, yes.
Pretty close. So I think it could be applied to the same thing here. And I don't know if Gary has more information on this, because you were dealing directly with the contract with Animal Services.
Basically, it has been paying for itself, and you're going to have a new contract on the 19th, because they're going to be asking for a 3-year contract now. They have the graduated estimates of the cost for each, but the figures they're using for license revenue versus expenditures is tracking real well. It's essentially paying for itself. The 1.5 licensed canvassers are definitely paying for themselves.
Excellent.
Thank you, Gary.
Yeah, because the reason I asked that, because on the financial impact, in the staff report, it says there's no impact to the city. So I just want to make sure that there's no impact to the city as far as going to have the general fund pay for marketing. So if it's paying for itself, that's excellent. I appreciate that. Another comment I have on this spay and neuters. Since I brought this up, the Elsinore document also indicated that it says something about, I don't have, oh yes I do, I don't remember what page it was. But last council meeting, we had several people come up and say, if you're going to spay and neuter and demand that pit bulls be spay and neutered, that should be across the board. I disagree with that. My focus, it still is, specifically on breed specific, and that is pit bulls. And you've all heard me explain why I think pit bulls need to be spayed and neutered. Unless, of course, like as it says in the ordinance, I agree with the fact that if they're involved with the American Kennel or the United Kennel Club, or they're under the custody of a training facility for the Department of Agriculture's Animal and Plant Health Inspection Service, I don't have a problem with that. My concern is with the the citizen who does not care whether their dog is spayed or neutered and doesn't care about keeping that dog tied up. Last year we had I believe she was 80 years old, I'll tell you again, lady go out to get her mail and she was attacked by a pit bull. Not to mention the children that have been attacked. Even as a pet, pets that turn on nerves, turn on nerves. I've seen too many of them. It's a grotesque sight to see a little child tore up by a dog. And the problem with pit bulls, and again, I'll state this, I've been bit by dogs. Dogs will bite you and go away normally, or bite you and release. Pit bulls will not release once they bite. And not only that, they will take and attempt to tear that object that they have in their mouth. And they'll just rip their heads back and forth. So I still stand strong on a breed specific in reference to pit bulls only. If somebody wants to spay and neuter their own dogs, that's fine. But as far as the ordinance goes, I'm pretty clear on, I think I'm clear on my intentions for bringing this up in the first place. So if the council deems that all dogs should be spayed and neutered, that's fine with me too. We've always spayed and neutered our dogs over the years. So I don't have a problem with that, but specifically pit bulls. Excuse me. Yes. Thank you. Okay, thank you, Mr. Goodwin. Thank you. Okay.